We've received recent indication that inflation is coming down. In September, inflation showed that it's coming down with the PCE coming out on Friday. The market didn't respond though. Both the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones Industrial Average, they both went down, and the Nasdaq went up an anemic 0.1%, 0.14 to be exact, just barely over 0.1%. We've received major good news on the personal consumption expenditures, the PCE. Why didn't the market take off? I'm going to tell you a number of reasons that are overhanging on this market and why it isn't taking off. The problem with the stock market is the interest rate. It isn't the short-term interest rates. Those have kind of remained the same lately, but the 10-year and the 30-year yields have gone up as you look at this table of interest rate. The 30-year has gone up to 4.7%. The 10-year is at 4.57%. Now, at least there's some uninversion occurring that the 30-year you get a little bit more than with the 10-year. The rest of the curve is highly inverted because the short year yields are so much higher. The 5-year yield is a 4.61%. 2-year yield is 5.05%, which is the real problem. And they usually look at the difference between the 2-year yield of 5.05% and the 10-year 4.57% as being highly significant in predicting a recession. The other thing is it's kind of uninverting a little bit at the long end, but we know that the stock market usually does worse when the curve starts to uninvert, which it's showing some signs of doing now. I think what's going to happen in the long run, I think the 2-year yield is going to stay somewhere around 5%. Powell has more or less promised that. I think it's going to be these rates on the long end. I think the curve is going to uninvert by the long yields becoming higher. In fact, Jamie Dimon of Chase Bank is predicting that we're going to have as high as 7% rates. I see that with horror to some extent, but on the other hand, hey, if interest rates keep going up and I keep making money for doing nothing, which essentially is what I'm doing right now. I'm getting money for doing nothing. The boomers are doing well. The boomers that have accumulated money and are sitting back and collecting interest, we're doing well now. This can go on for a while. I think it'll go on for at least 8 months. Usually when they stop raising rates, and there's indication that they could stop in November, which would mean that the last increase was before September, we wouldn't have the stock market going up until about May or June of next year. That's my feeling about it. It may or may not be right. We will see. And then we have Congress, and idiots in Congress are bringing the market down and threatening the country with a shutdown, which they're doing as a political stunt to make a point, but it's going to hurt their constituents. I guess you hurt your constituents to make a political point. That doesn't make sense. It isn't Republicans versus Democrats. It's ultra-right Republicans disagreeing with the other Republicans who are more moderate and willing to work something out with the Democrats. And in fact, if there's a chance, there's a slight chance that the Democrats would actually support McCarthy if they can work something out with the other Republicans, if McCarthy would accept that, because the far-right conservatives are threatening that they're going to take his speakership away if he cooperates with the Democrats to any degree. We need more people in Congress that compromise on both sides of the aisle. We need people to reach across the aisle and come to some agreement for the good of the country. So many stocks were down for the week that ended September 29th, and it's been a bad September for the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ is down 5.6% in September alone. A 5% interest rate on keeping your money in cash is looking awfully good. Looking at the heat map for the week, artificial intelligence stocks like Tesla and Nvidia were up, as were semiconductor stocks. Oil, of course, is up, and it's in the 90s. They're predicting it could go to 150. Well, I think it's going to 100 for sure. And California is doing some things. The Governor Newsom is doing some things in California to reduce the price of gas. He's allowing a lower grade of gas to be sold, which is usually saved until winter because it's more smog. It's less smog producing than the regular gas in the winter. They have a winter grade, and he's allowing it to come to market earlier, and it is cheaper. That shows how desperate we are about the price of gas. I mean, locally here, if you want to fill up your BMW or Mercedes-Benz, it's going to cost you 6.99 cents or almost $7 a gallon. This isn't California. This is Arizona. I'm near Phoenix, Arizona. I know they say the price around the country is less than $4, but why do we have these huge spikes in places like Phoenix and places like Los Angeles? Why is that happening? And when it comes to oil, it's drill, baby, drill. Biden has okayed limited offshore drilling in the Gulf of Mexico, and I think that's what's going to convince me that the recession isn't coming, is if the price of oil goes down, which there's no sign that that's going to happen. And I think that's why Biden agreed to this. He realizes we got to increase our own supply because that's the only way the price is going to go down. And then we got the UAW, United Auto Workers strike at all the major car companies, GM, Ford, and Stellantis. And Elon Musk is predicting that these companies are going to go bankrupt if they have to increase wages by 40%. I think it's more likely that they're probably going to settle somewhere in 30%, but the strike continues going on. I think these companies have so much extra expense coming at them by switching to electric that I don't think this is really going to be affordable for them in the near future. It's affordable for them now because they're still selling plenty of internal combustion engine cars, but I think the high price of gas is propelling the drift toward electric cars. I think that's the main reason. You're spending over $100 filling up your car. Yeah, you're thinking about going electric. And you get an idea of how seriously fuel prices are going to affect inflation because United Airlines is saying that if each passenger lost 10 pounds, they would make $80 million more per year because they would save them that much on fuel costs. United Airlines is very much in favor of these weight loss medications that have gathered so much favor and have sent Eli Lilly to the sky recently. And then there's the problems with China. They're having major concerns with their property, with their real estate market, and it's expected that that will actually get worse. And they recently put the founder of Evergrande, a major real estate company, under police control. Things are not looking good for China and their relationship with the rest of the world, especially debates over Taiwan, which is the major manufacturer of semiconductor chips. This is not looking good. Things are really tense with the United States, and I think it's epitomized by China is removing all the pandas from United States zoos. Now, they never fully gave the pandas to the United States. It's sort of like the pandas are on lease from China, and they can call them back anytime, and they are calling them back. By the end of 2024, will be no more of these cute little cuddly pandas romping around in United States zoos. Another sign of how interest rates are affecting the stock market is that in the 7 days prior to September 27th, the equity funds saw the biggest outflows that they've seen in the last 3 months. These interest rates are definitely having a deleterious effect. Thanks for listening and watching. I'll try to keep you up on what's happening with the stock market. It doesn't look good now. Maybe they're going to lay off on a raise of the interest rates on November 1st, which is the next Federal Reserve meeting, and that would be bullish for stocks. But mainly, it would take that plus some tempering of the oil prices. At least they're not going up. At least they should be coming down, but I don't think they're going to come down. I think we're headed towards $120 oil. Sad to say. Thank you.